Somewhere in the English countryside, there's a man with 22 garages. He built the fastest, most exclusive road car on Earth, a machine so extreme that when he sold his own prototype, the insurance valuation was £20 million. And somewhere in Japan, the man who invented scissor doors, the most copied silhouette in car history, drove himself to the grocery store every day in a tiny Suzuki, worth less than that supercar's steering wheel. Today, we're opening the garages of the greatest car designers alive, plus the legend we lost in 2024. And it starts with me, a 17-year-old waiter, and a McLaren that wouldn't start. When I was 17, I waited tables at a small Italian restaurant called Ponte Vecchio in West Byfleet, Surrey. McLaren's headquarters is just up the road in Woking, and one of our regulars was Gordon Murray, the man who designed the McLaren F1, still considered by many the greatest supercar ever built. He never showed up in the same car twice. One week something loud and mechanical. The next, something I didn't recognize until I looked it up after my shift. I later learned why. At home, Murray keeps 22 garages, 14 of them packed with classic cars, an Alpine A110, a Fiat Abarth Racer, a De Tomaso Vallelunga, a $5.5 million Porsche 550 Spider, the same model James Dean was driving the day he died. I was watching slices of that collection roll through our car park, one lunch service at a time, with absolutely no idea. But my favorite story about him, I missed. One of the older waitresses used to tell it. Gordon came in for lunch one day and brought his own personal McLaren F1. When he went to leave, a small crowd had gathered around the car. He got in, turned the key, and nothing. The car wouldn't start. So he walked back inside and used our phone to call McLaren HQ. Not long after, 3 cars full of McLaren engineers pulled up outside to rescue their own boss's supercar. The problem? A flat battery, from a lack of use. Their solution? Push start it, right there on a Surrey high street. Only by then, Gordon had already left. I can only imagine that conversation back at the office. That's the world we're stepping into today. Brilliant, obsessive men, extraordinary machines, and the very human moments in between. Let's open the doors. Start with the man officially crowned Car Designer of the Century in 1999. The DeLorean. The original Volkswagen Golf. The Lotus Esprit that James Bond drove underwater. Now 87, his personal garage isn't a hoard of exotic metal, it's a living museum. 24 of his own creations surrounding him at his studio, GFG style, the Alfa Romeo 2000 taking center stage. For his 80th birthday, his gift to himself was a brand new concept car. Back to our man from the top of the video. Murray used to own his personal McLaren F1 prototype, until its £20 million insurance valuation made it, in his words, a tad squeaky to enjoy scaring passengers on his local roads. So he sold it and rebuilt his life around lightness. Only 2 cars in his entire collection break his own sub-1,000 kilogram rule, his T50 and a Mercedes SLR McLaren, which he calls the fat kid at the party. None of it sits still either. Every car gets driven, which makes that flat battery story funnier in hindsight. The one car that let him down that day is the one the entire world would have killed to drive. James Glickenhaus proves some designers don't just admire the dream car, they build it. He bought the last unsold Ferrari Enzo, shipped it to Pininfarina, and had it cut apart and rebuilt into a one-off supercar, the P4/5, modeled on his own vintage Ferrari 330 P4 race car. Ferrari was furious, until chairman Luca di Montezemolo saw it in person and declared it simply had to be a Ferrari. His garage also holds the actual 330 P3/4, the third Ferrari ever built, and a Le Mans Ford Mark IV. He's turned down $40 million for the P4/5 because he'd rather keep driving it. Ian Callum, the man behind the Aston Martin DB9 and Jaguar F-Type, has one of the most lived-in garages on this list, roughly 10 cars, most of them modified by his own hand. A BMW 3.0 CSL, a Jaguar XJ220, a Ferrari Dino, and a 1932 Ford Model B hot rod he had rebuilt with a Ford Windsor V8 using his old staff discount. Ask his favorite, though, and it's not an Aston, it's a Porsche 993. And his actual daily driver? A Volkswagen van. The man who designed the DB9 drives a van to the shops. Then there's Horatio Pagani, whose personal collection is valued at roughly $141 million. Nearly every Zonda and Huayra variant, a Countach he helped design decades ago, a Porsche 918 Spyder, a Carrera GT, and a childhood Jaguar E-Type. His sons even raced the collection alongside him. Ask his single favorite car in the world, though, and it's not any of his own. It's a Porsche 917, a car he's never actually owned. He just collects 120 scale models of it instead.
And finally, the man we've been building toward. Marcello Gandini died in March 2024 at 85. He invented scissor doors. He designed the Lamborghini Miura and Countach, widely considered the first modern supercars, the Stratos, the Diablo, the Bugatti EB110. After everything you've just heard, 22 garages, a $141 million hangar, a sliced-up Enzo, you'd expect the man who started the whole supercar arms race to have the wildest garage of all. He didn't. Gandini's actual everyday car, right to the end of his life, was a Suzuki Wagon R, a small, boxy Japanese K-car. He'd also designed some of Europe's most beloved economy cars, the Volkswagen Polo, the Auto Bianchi A112, so maybe it makes more sense than it first sounds. He loved all cars, not just the poster ones. Every scissor door on every Lamborghini built this decade exists because of him. And at the end of the day, he drove a K-car to the grocery store. Maybe that's the most honest thing any designer on this list ever did. So here's the pattern. Some of these men, Murray, Pagani, Glickenhaus, built themselves entire private universes of the most incredible machines on Earth, because after a lifetime designing the fantasy for the rest of us, they finally could. Others, Callum, Gandini, went the opposite way entirely, choosing something honest and light because they'd already given the dream car to everyone else and just wanted the simple joy of driving for themselves. And somewhere in Surrey, there's still a waiter's story about the day one of them couldn't even get his own car to start. If this changed how you'll look at the next supercar poster on your wall, subscribe and tell us in the comments which garage surprised you most. Pagani's $141 million hangar, Glickenhaus's sliced-up Enzo, or Gandini's Suzuki Wagon R. Because whether they built an empire or kept it simple, the men who designed our dream cars just wanted something honest to drive home.